All right, cool. All right, guys, we're gonna call the meeting to order. We'll get started. We only need 6 now, so we're good. Cool. So do we still do the roll call and stuff? You want to do that first?
Yeah,
And then
just
we'll kick it off?
second.
All right, cool. So we'll do the roll call. So George Alvarez.
Present.
Rodolfo Blanco.
Present.
Matthew Casimiro is I am here. Jose Llanos.
Present.
Jessica Medina. Not here. Manuel Perez. Not here. Romy. Not here right now. Andrea. Not here right now. Magali.
Here.
Carlos Padilla. Not here. And Daniel.
Here.
You have your secretary here,
No, that's Romy.
so somebody needs to take minutes. We can't start the meeting without a
Takers.
secretary.
Not a good secretary.
What the? What does it take to be a good secretary?
What are you looking at? I think we already got it. Look at things.
Good handwriting.
Thank you.
You.
I think it's gotta be able to work a pen, you know?
Can I default?
You got us.
All right, cool.
Can I default?
So just real quick, orders of business, deferrals, additions, deletions. So I had it in new business, but I'll just move it up real quick to be right after this, the public outreach meeting number 2 for the vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan. All right, cool. So we'll move it to be right after this, right after the orders of business, deferrals, and deletions. So I'll move it up.
Which one's that to write?
9A.
9A, yeah. So we'll move 9A to right after 3. And then as well on old business, I was gonna add, and apologies for not doing this before, I thought I did. But under the EDC next year brainstorm, I guess item 0, it'll be before these 3 I's, will be Main Street Live update that for the transfers here. So that'll be 7A pre-0, I guess you can call it. Pre-I. So we'll do that.
Need a motion,
What?
motion to change the agenda.
Oh, you have to do a motion for that?
You're
Yes.
supposed to, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, so a motion to adjust the agenda in those 2 ways.
Second the motion.
All right, cool. So all in favor?
Aye.
All right, awesome. All right, cool. All right. I think we're good with that. I think we can continue on with the public outreach. You guys are
Get
good.
started really quick, so. Good evening, my name is Omar Santos, I'm the Public Works Director for the town of Miami Lakes. And with me, I have our consultant, Kimmy Horn, Matt, and Giselle. We're here to do a quick presentation for the Vulnerability Assessment Adaptation Plan that the Kimmy Horn team is preparing for the town. We really appreciate that you are letting us participate in this meeting and take a little bit of your time because public input is a critical part of this study and we want to hear from you after the presentation, so. Here's Matt.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna get the presentation up here. Is there anything I need to do on the
No.
Zoom end of things? Do I need to share my screen with the?
That's what I was asking, do you guys do that for you or?
No, because we can always provide it.
No,
Okay,
okay.
we can, we're happy to provide this publicly. So yeah, as Omar said, thank you for having us. My name is Matt Brosman. I'm with Kim Horn. Leading the efforts on the vulnerability assessment and adaptation plan for the town. Just to give you a little bit of background on this project, this is a study that's been funded primarily through FDEP's Resilient Florida program. The purpose of this study is to conduct a vulnerability assessment, which what it does is it looks at flood risks versus what we're calling assets, or essentially anything that the town manages or owns or operates or is a critically important facility for the town and for the town's people, such as hospitals and other private facilities like that. We're looking at flood hazards versus those critical assets as the state defined them. Looking to identify, just looking to identify where flood depths overlap with those assets, evaluate the severity, and really kind of hone in on focus areas where the town could in the future invest to protect those assets or the town's assets both now and into the future. So think of this as like a town-wide flood study that has kind of an infrastructure bent to it. This is kind of the summary of the project. We're currently through the first 3 tasks of this under review with the sensitivity analysis with the state. They're reviewing all of our work products, but we'll just kind of walk through the study, what we've done to date so far. So first we collected data. So we coordinated with the town to collect all of the different assets that go into that asset inventory. The state puts that into 4 major categories. critical transportation, critical infrastructure, critical community facilities, and then natural, cultural, or historical assets. We gathered topographic data, mostly publicly available data. And then we gathered flood scenario data, so looked at rainfall-induced flooding, but also looked at groundwater and sea level rise, time horizons for the town. Next, we looked at what we're calling our exposure analysis. So we took all of that rainfall and all of that flood hazard data, created models to analyze where the greatest flood depths occurring in the city. You can see one of the outputs from that analysis on this very colorful map here. Essentially, as you would expect, the brightest colors are where all the lakes are. That's where all the deepest water is going to be. But what we really dialed into was all of these areas that are kind of those intermediate colors, because that's where we have, as a town, most of our critical infrastructure alongside roads, parks, hospitals, things like that. We overlaid that with all of the assets within the town. So all the data that we got from the town, all the parks, things like the law enforcement facility, community center, all the surface waters, historic and cultural assets, coordinated with the town to gather all that data and overlay that. Here's just another example of one of the scenarios that we looked at. This was the 500-year storm event. I believe the first one that I showed was the 100-year storm event. Again, these are kind of all state dictated scenarios that we look at and overlay the impacted assets in those scenarios. And then one more, this one is just what we're calling like the king tide event. So this is the idea here, is that when tides are high, this is in current conditions, but we did look at future conditions as well. Eventually tidal impacts will flow up the canal and start to have the potential to impact town facilities. So that was something that we started looking into as well. And again, here you can see the various communities. There are a few community facilities that are impacted by that. Next, we looked at what we're calling a sensitivity analysis. So this is for those storm events that are kind of the more colorful ones, the ones that cover the roads and various other water, wastewater facilities, infrastructure facilities. Essentially what you've got here is color-coded dots that represent each one of those facilities. So it might represent a road, it might represent a park, it might represent this building that we're in right now. And essentially determined for a given storm event, in this case, this is the 100-year storm event, what level of impact might be expected to that facility. Same thing for the 500-year storm event. And then this is what we call a compound flooding event. So this would be a 100-year storm around this time of year when there would potentially in the future be a king tide event that would cause groundwater to be higher and potentially impact more facilities. So next steps, that's where we're at so far. Really what we're looking to do is, that's a lot of dense data that is not really useful until we're able to distill that down into what we call focus areas. So we look at these focus areas to say, hey, here's an area that we know based on these analyses that we did, but also based on input from the public, based on input from city staff, based on where we know we have flood problems, based on where we've recently done projects, where we know we need to do projects. Where are the areas that we need to focus? Does the data back that up? And then ultimately we identify those focus areas in our study, take that to the state. When we go to get funding for our implementation projects through the Resilient Florida program, we've got the study that kind of says, hey, we want to be funding these projects because our study shows that we need those projects. So we're currently developing those focus areas. That's where we want input from the public. That will all make its way into our final vulnerability assessment, where we deliver the final package to the state. They put that on file, and completion of the study is what makes the town eligible for a large fund called the Resilient Florida Implementation Fund. So it's a big state fund that we definitely want the town to complete this study so that they can get access to that in the next grant funding cycle, early summer next year. Lastly, we're just gonna be coordinating with the county's local mitigation strategy working group. Whatever recommendations come out of this study, we're gonna look to integrate that with what the county kind of maintains as their rolling list of projects or list of priorities. And then this is just what we call the adaptation piece of this. So this is recommendations that we make alongside of those focus areas to say, hey, here are certain strategies that we think might work in certain areas. So we could say raising roadways may work in a certain area, it may not work in another area. We can say that from a overall planning standpoint, we want to look at higher finished floor requirements, other types of ordinances that can be implemented. So this is just an example of the types of adaptation strategies that we might pursue. But again, that just becomes part of the final study that we provide to the state. So now we've got a couple of maps up here. If anybody would like to take a closer look at them, feel free. Really, we're just looking to get input from the public today on particular areas, particular streets, neighborhoods that you feel that you have seen, in particular, flood hazard impacting city critical assets. That's the thing we want to incorporate into the study. Yes.
So I do have my own anecdotal experience. The last year, I don't condone this. I was out walking during a flash flood, and I noticed that on 82nd, on Northwest 82nd Avenue, on that street in particular, in certain segments of it, it was so bad the flooding got up to my knees. It wasn't prevalent in all the other, like getting closer to 154th, but like in the middle upwards, it was up to my knees, almost quite literally. And I live next to Bob Graham. And again, during going up, I forget the street, but going up.
Probably 82nd Avenue and 160.
79th Avenue?
Yeah, 79th Avenue was fine. There was
It's
a lot of flooding. But again, it was nothing that excessive. 82nd was the one I noticed that it was, again, practically, I was like just,
in front of the guardhouse.
I needed like a lot. Yeah.
5 to 160 seconds.
Yeah, it goes like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have an SUV? Forget it.
Yeah.
And I know it well because I'm the president of that HOA. And then our community's probably, I don't know why it was ever designed that way or approved, but we're probably 8 to 12 inches lower than south.
From a street.
No, as far as like
There's a silver.
the finished
north and
elevation.
south.
Yeah, there's one.
So that's why I say.
So some, like, for example, the houses that back up to, the houses to the north of Silvercrest South and the houses to the south of ours, their backyards go back to back.
Right.
In some cases, you've had like grass growing through the fence about a foot up because their lawn is a foot higher than some of these.
Right.
Were they built after you guys?
Mhm.
They were built after?
They're built after.
That might be why the county.
And then I know Royal Oaks is a little bit higher than the people to our north.
Right.
So maybe
A
that's
lot of
why
it
the
comes
water-
down to the timing of,
Yes.
the relatively, okay, what is the requirement for the
Yeah.
finished floor of the houses?
The architects over there shaking their head.
But I'm not sure why, I'm assuming all that water is that runs down towards that
Yeah.
area you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with it. But
If I saw correctly,
Yes.
Miami Lakes is in deep trouble because they're all red. I mean, it's pretty much.
Well,
Explain the scenario, because
I'm not-
yeah, I didn't.
I know it's America, but
I don't wanna get into
at
the
the end, it
technical-
At the end, it looks very bad.
So I don't
from
want to
Miami
get
Lakes.
into the technical details too much because we are really looking at relative impact in certain scenarios and we are setting up our models in a way to
Right, but
be very, very conservative, I would say.
yeah, but still, it's, look at that. It's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
And remember, the purpose is the title, vulnerability, so they're running scenarios.
Right.
To see at what point that vulnerability comes out,
Right.
and then it might not be in the next 10, 15, 20 years,
No,
but at this time is the time we start planning.
yes.
It takes time to plan it, design it, implement it, fund it.
Mhm.
So by doing this, 10 years from now, hopefully, those items that were identified are taken care of.
Right, and that's been the state's mentality with this program is to try to.
Preventative care, in other words.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a route. I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
I think it has a lot to do with the developer
Mhm.
that puts up the streets and put that because what that area that floods tremendous, so it was annexed to Miami Lakes because it wasn't part of the grand plan. And I live on the east side and I seem to be seeing all the money for all those projects go to the west side and we don't get anything on the east side, just because maybe we were built better and we have a lesser of a problem, even though it is a problem.
Sure.
But all the funding, all the money goes to the west side. And then whose responsibility is that to begin with? Because Satori has a tremendous amount of flooding and it's a new community. So when are you gonna bring the developer of those areas?
You're talking about the drainage projects.
No. The drainage, yes.
Yeah.
The on
And
the west side,
Satori is all cement, so the water has no way
Well,
Let me ask a question.
to
and I
drain anywhere.
I think if you're taking notes, she's referring to maybe ordinances or policies and changes to improve and maybe prevent bad practices.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And that is something that we can recommend out of this study.
Yeah.
Like we can have.
Sorry, I just wanted to take a note of that because.
I don't
No,
know,
I would say that's
the
something-
cat out of the bag. But it
No,
seems-
that's the
it
purpose
seems
of this.
like
We want-
that-
Absolutely, yeah.
That the part that the Grams built, it has much better, even though it's an older section,
Right.
and it does has had improvements,
Mhm.
like Lake Patricia and things like that. But I mean, that never goes back to 1960.
Just from a visual, if you drive in and you can see it in the map behind you. The density and the original development that you refer to as the grounds development.
Uh-huh.
It's more spaced out, there's a lot more green area, there's more trees.
Mhm.
Well, overall more green area. When you go to the west side, which was a different developer. The is bigger houses and they're tightly packed together, so your green area or your
It's a concrete jungle.
permeable area has been reduced significantly.
Water doesn't have anywhere to run.
But if I'm right, I think the original Graham side was more solid land than what we have now on the west side. And there's more landfill now on the west
And
side.
there's also a higher amount of large lakes.
So a lot
on
of
the
the
original side
and you have
compared
more
to-
lakes now than you do before, and they originally planned.
Right.
But there's less area for the
So
water.
that
to
becomes more expensive, developers.
You had something else?
Yeah.
Want to put more in a less space.
I mean, I guess all this as is approved, as the plats are approved, obviously the elevation is part of it.
Right.
So, and this was all Miami-Dade County, but my question is. How much of a role, which I think is a high one, does South Florida Water Management have to do with this? Cause example, a couple of years ago, I think it was a September storm event, we had water in my garage, you know.
Yeah.
And I live in North. But I noticed that we had a lot of rain in a short period of time. I think it was king tide or one of those tides. However, our lake was higher than it's been in recent years. So is it their ability to predict the storm correctly and pump out water? We have pumps.
Well, remember,
And which lowers our water table or, because I know these last couple of events, our lake was a lot lower. It raised a little bit, but we still had probably 2 days worth of rain to go. Versus the last one we had in a day and a half, we were.
So
This was my house in Serenity Point. Look at this stuff. It's a
So-
lake of-
so
I'll try to answer
A
that.
little bit of luck
So-
and some.
So yeah, so South Florida does engage in, I don't know exactly what they call it, it's basically preemptive discharge and pumping, right? And they actually are consistently looking at their overall system. They're actually going through a massive resiliency study right now as part of the central and southern canal system, which is all of the canals, including the canal that goes through Miami Lakes. One of the projects that they've actually proposed out of that is down at the downstream end, looking at upgrading that pump station because they are trying to balance the needs of inland communities, but with the coastal communities, right? So that's South Florida is absolutely a big part of this. They're going through and looking at what smaller type but still regional projects can they do to add more storage into the canals. They're actively going through their own study right now to try to mitigate some of the more regional flooding issues.
It's tricky because then if they pump out too much, we will end up too low and then you run into the dry season and then.
So in addition to that, there's two things to that. One of the scenarios that was run here was the king tide combined with one other storm. The king tide also determines how much or when South Florida can actually pump out.
Mhm.
Because if it reaches a certain point, they can't, there's nowhere for them to pump to. And that happened, I think it was Ada. It was a storm, it wasn't a hurricane, but it was a storm event. I remember because I had to
years
work
ago.
during the,
That's a couple years
it was
ago.
right before Veterans.
Yeah, November 20.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
and everything was flooded. I don't think there was one spot in Miami Lakes that and that's one of those scenarios that. I think that was one of the ones that triggered South Florida, hey, let's look at improving some of these infrastructures to be able to better handle that. It might not be perfect, it will be, but we'll see. And then the other one is, they also are restricted on how much water to pump out. So to not allow, and I might mess this up,
Yeah,
but it's to not allow the water intrusion, because they gotta keep it balanced.
Right,
The
see,
rock under us is porous, it's Swiss cheese.
it's limestone.
Yeah, so if they pump out too much, then that salt water is gonna come out.
And if you pump right at the pump,
Yeah,
pump right at the pump, it takes
That's
a
what I mean,
while
that's
for
what I
the
mean.
water back
Yes.
here to get
That was my
back.
picture, I showed that.
That's what we went back there.
That was my
That was
picture.
November 9th.
Yeah, I remember.
But they keep us up to date, so one of the things they send out before, we know we're gonna be receiving a lot of rain, they'll send out, their canal levels for the C8 canal. And once we know that our canals, or their common canals, Golden Glades and the one at the bottom, I forget the name, those will start lowering as well. Not as fast as the C8 canal, because they have to go through several other culverts, but we know that they're building in capacity to absorb some of that rain.
Right, this is, the town is essentially the headwaters of
Yes,
mostly the sea.
and we get water from, Palm Springs North,
Yeah.
Hialeah, because it all comes down
That was gonna
and
say.
it crosses under the Palmetto right by the golf course.
Mhm.
That's one of the crossing points, and then there's another one, you see that big lake, next to Graham Lake? Right next to the.
Don't worry, Lake, don't worry.
The one in the perimeter of the extra?
Yeah,
No,
don't worry.
where
Don't
the
worry.
dog- where the dog park is,
Yes, yeah.
there's a dog park and it looks like a sweet potato.
Yeah, yeah.
Under there, there's culverts that connect it to the other side and it dumps it to the sea canal as well.
And the canal 170, it goes into that system as well?
The canal 170, it crosses right next to the Bob Graham Education Center, right where the golf course, there's a bridge, and under that bridge, it goes into the sea canal and goes through the lake system, Lake Brew,
Yeah, yeah.
the Loch Lomond Lake, all that. It goes through, and then eventually through the Opalaca Airport property and out into the bay.
A lot of water.
And that canal system is the one that I mentioned that South Florida is looking at the very end of that down. I think it's.
That dumps in North Miami or Miami Shores, yeah.
Miami Shores.
Oh, yeah. Where the golf course out there.
Right, so right where that
Miami
golf course is.
That has a pump.
Kings
that-
Point,
that has a
Kings
pump.
So there's a pump right
Right,
there, and
Kings
they're
Point.
looking at, it's a whole thing, because they're trying to increase the pump station, and Miami Shores doesn't work.
Yeah, it goes up by Kings Point, right up by Kings Point, but there's 135th and.
Yeah, that's right, actually, the golf course, you cross over that.
Yeah, there's like a little, it's,
Yeah.
I think you could.
Yeah,
it's
the
like
golf
a
course, you cross
golf
over
cart.
that.
And when it's raining hard, you see at the 170th and 77th Court intersection, that point, the water that comes from Palm Springs North under the road, that is fast. So there's so much water that's coming out of there when
That's
we have.
the, San Mateo Road. That area, yes.
Any other
Yeah,
questions or
What's the
recommendations?
ultimate solution, just to raise?
Right, I was gonna say this.
Well,
So yeah, so there's a couple, oh.
Yeah.
oh, sorry, I forgot.
No, it's
Yeah,
just that I don't wanna, this has been my pet peeve for many years since I moved here. Is that people keep paving the front yards,
Mhm.
the west side, which is not a planned community. You know, it used to be what they call the planned unit development, which is like the houses right next to each other. That is not allowed anymore. It's been prohibited by the county or whoever is in charge of the plan. But people kept paving the front yards, and then the original design was for to have green in front of the homes, so the water would drain. But if you pave that, those areas, where's the water gonna go? It's common sense.
I think that's a great jumping off point to answer the other questions too about
It's
how
common
do we
sense. Don't
fix
allow
this?
people to keep paving. I see it going on. People that have beautiful frontage, concrete.
This study is unique because it gives us the opportunity to make recommendations that aren't necessarily just in the ground gray infrastructure projects. We can make recommendations at a certain area, have incorporate green infrastructure, the idea of like sponge cities and bringing that back into certain areas where you can
Permeable
increase the
concrete.
porosity and the uptake into the ground. Now, over time, that will be less effective as the whole region experiences groundwater rise, and that will be something that the region will be overall contending with, but
Prevent also the runoff into the lakes. Right now, I'm also in the neighborhood improvement committee. We have a request to get an ordinance done to prevent, pesticides going to the lake.
Mhm.
But what happens is, if you have a major runoff, if when it rains, the rain is good because it goes into the aquifer and that's our fresh water that we're gonna be drinking from.
Right.
But it's common sense.
Contaminated.
Yeah. Well, and on the ordinance front, right, that is something that can be a recommendation in the study as well, is that the town look into certain ordinances, and there are other examples from other municipalities that have gone and said, hey, you can't pave over the swale, or hey, you need to, if you're going to be proposing a development of X acres, consider, X percentage of green infrastructure, of bioswale, of something that's going to be a high infiltrative media, things like that to help get water into the ground. So those are some of the, I would say, non-structural measures. I mean, certainly structural measures, things like raising roads and raising infrastructure to help protect the critical infrastructure of the town. Inevitably, that's going to be parts of the recommendations. We try not to get into the specifics of raise this street, don't raise that street, because we don't want
You
to,
gotta be careful because.
well, we don't want to
the
define
floor
that at this
of
point.
building,
Yep.
the-
That's what I was gonna say, in
it
some
has to
areas,
be
that's not
1
possible.
foot
In some areas,
around
it's
the
not
crown of
possible.
the Road, if you
Exactly.
raise that crown of the road, when it rains,
Exactly,
You
and
have to-
that's why we are only making, I would say, general recommendations in that direction in certain areas where we know that it would work.
you gotta
But
be
the
careful.
idea is not to just be in the ground projects, but also have more planning and ordinance driven recommendations come out of the study.
So I don't want to take too much more of your time, 'cause I know you have a meeting right after
Yes.
this, so we do really appreciate it that you allowed us to come here, and even more that you were so engaged. If there are any other questions, you can always email the Public Works Department, publicworks@miamilakes-fl.gov. You can also go on our website and get the information. Please, if you can, share this with your family members that live here, your neighbors. And if they also have any, like yourself, experience other areas that we may not be aware of that have flooded, be it private or public. We, as part of Public Works in the town, we mainly focus on the public areas. But as Matt mentioned, we may be able to make recommendations of policies to implement, to improve when there's private development going on. So,
One last thing, we had our insurance person who was from Tallahassee, I think it was the commissioner. We had two people,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Syria from.
The insurance guy,
From,
the state of Florida insurance.
and then we had the commissioner of insurance.
Right.
And one thing that I learned, which I didn't know, because before I didn't pay for flood insurance, is now state law.
Yep.
And the reason they did it was because of all the flooding that has happened in North Florida, and a lot of people didn't think that they need flooding. And what happened is the whole area flooded, the rivers flooded, and they had no money for this. So now, in case you don't know, in state law, you need to have flood insurance.
so check your policies.
Take your
Yes, fully
policy.
separate policy.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's separate, and it's not
it's-
that expensive.
right,
Flood
it's not-
insurance is
it's
not
fully
much,
separate
but
from
at
your
least it
home.
covers you if you have, some kind of flood issue that because I said, I mean, I was looking for my FEMA plan before, and I checked with my mortgage company, no, you don't need insurance. And I said, wait a minute, so at least I clarified it here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
People don't.
Thank you.
We have the-
Last thing, we do have a comment card and then now, please.
Pave the approach.
Send them our way.
Yeah.
So they can go with their meeting. We need it in there, but yeah.
In Miami, like, you're not supposed to do.
You guys have the sign-in sheet over there?
You're not supposed to cement the approach.
I'll be passed through.
And 100
Some
houses,
people are.
you.
I-
drive
I-
also that
we
you
don't see it.
have
Yeah, you don't need
the
any more.
tarmac
No, I just pulled it up.
Oh, that was just our presentation.
No, no,
Right here, right?
we're good. I don't think we're voting on anything anyways.
Well, that's. I don't think so either. Interesting.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
We just watch.
You have national.
The rest of it is just updates.
I like that, those red dots are areas.
I can take it.
Ridiculous.
Iris,
Once you,
that scenario.
everybody pulls in. You say flooding too.
It's somebody else. I'm gonna save it. Oh.
A year. Florida, open more than people in Indiana, Ohio. So they could, you know.
Yes, here, I'll come break that down.
Of course, California.
And then these. I was gonna say, somebody wanted one of those, I think. Oh, the EA's. Oh.
Look at the example.
Yeah, I'd have somebody mad.
Look at me.
Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I was like, okay.
I thought it was.
Okay.
Oh, that's another reason why you need.
Oh, yeah.
We end up.
All right, let's continue. Let's move on to the next thing. Thank you guys, appreciate it. All right, that's it. Alrighty, let's move on to public comments. I don't see anybody around, so I think we're good. So from there we can.
Oh, but Felicia's specific. Okay.
Yeah, Felicia's part of it. Felicia's VIP. She's VIP. So now we have approval of minutes. So the regular meeting minutes from last meeting, October 15th. Yeah, so you guys want to take a look. Most of what we're talking today is honestly just kind of recapping a lot of last meeting anyways. Then we said we were gonna go over the budget more often. We were gonna talk about brainstorming a little bit. We talked about a little bit of a recap of the brainstorm or of the boot camp. Yeah, we ended up doing better on the budget than we thought we did. Was one of the things we had a little bit overage in the back. Yeah, so it worked out.
Motion to approve.
Cool, on favor?
Aye.
Appreciate that. Alrighty, cool. So moving on from that, we'll go real quick to the budget. Like I said in the previous meeting, now from now on, we're gonna go over the budget a little bit. We're gonna touch on it every meeting just to make sure we're up to date and we're on track. Because like we said, last time we actually ended up doing pretty good last year, but we didn't really know until we looked at the end. We thought we had excess budget like crazy, but we ended up not having that much. So based on what I see here, this is the new year budget, right? So nothing's
Yeah,
been touched yet,
exactly.
right? Do you know when? Because I know there's two things, right, that always basically happen. I know one of the things was local intel, right? We've been working on Jonathan. Did he tell you anything about that or no?
Yeah, so he told me you guys were in talks about maybe not doing it,
Yeah.
not continuing it this year,
Not
so I
continuing
guess,
it,
Right.
yeah, so that's, I guess, a decision you guys have to come to better.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already have.
Yeah,
We just
we
the
have.
whole thing is when we need to tell
By
them.
when.
Yeah, that's been the question that's like
So I guess
floating.
I'll find out by when, but I think the understanding is that anyways, that comes to an end. I believe he said next year,
Yeah.
June.
Something like that.
July.
That's why I'm
Right.
So
just
we'll
making sure
work
it
to
gets
try to
taken
get
out of the
ahead of
budget.
it, yeah.
Yeah, because it's all part of that first one, the first line, marketing.
So I'll
miscellaneous
double check
expenses.
for you guys by when that contract, I guess,
Cool.
when you have to
This
give
one
them.
hasn't been.
We want to miss the window, we have to give them, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna
30
give them a,
days.
yeah, exactly. I remember Jonathan saying that is like, since it's
So-
like split up over years, that
Yeah,
if it's, you know, if it's the whole, how much of it is taken out this
Got it.
year and stuff like that, you
The
know?
notice do you need to keep it?
Yeah.
When? By
Yeah, when we need to cancel it.
So in order
Yeah,
not to
'cause the goal-
self-renew.
Yeah, exactly, because we don't really see a lot of,
what amount of
use out of it.
any is coming out of this
Yeah, the-
year for what's already going
yeah,
on.
for what's already happening. Yeah, just so we can know where we're at with the marketing expenses because what we wanted to try to do is hopefully try to support things like the Main Street Live more. We can actually do marketing like billboards like we talked about and like really like, try to push Miami Lakes and do things more on a marketing level is what we wanted to do with those dollars and, and actually like see things happen. Because local intel, while it's a nice service, I don't really think it's really gotten
No.
a lot of
Yeah.
use. So I don't think it's really worth it.
No, it's not worth
And
it.
just to clue you in, it's like on the EDC website, we have MiamiLakesBiz.com or .net, something along those lines. There's a database function, like a software that we pay for every couple of years. And what that software does is it just tells you demographic information on Miami Lakes. So it's for new business owners, if they're interested, if they can see the amount of people in this X age range, how many people are in X income bracket and things like that. And while it's good information, I just think if somebody's already going to put a business here, they've done that information, they've done that research way before. You know what I mean? Especially if it's somebody that's going to be, big enough of an entity that needs that kind of information. I don't think they're going to rely on our website.
It has links to public websites.
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. It is public information. So I think it's better that we can actually use this money to like,
Plus it's
do
$10,000 a year.
things.
It's $10,000 a year.
Yeah, what?
It's $10,000 a year.
Yeah,
On our
it's a
budget.
humongous part of the budget. So that's why
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. All right, cool. So we're good there. So you're clued in there, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
so
awesome,
I
awesome.
will check for you guys.
Awesome. And then the second thing with the budget was the Miami Lakes, not the Miami Lakes, excuse me, it's labeled wrong, but the chamber miscellaneous expenses. Usually that whole thing goes to.
Yeah, my understanding is the 2020, right?
Yeah, they usually go to a whole
Yeah.
membership to the
Miami.
Greater Miami.
Greater
Yeah.
Miami,
Yeah.
correct.
And I think that's okay.
Miami
We-
Lakes Chamber, Greater Miami.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just labeled wrong
Greater
on the line
Miami.
item, but it's in the Greater Miami.
It says
Yeah, it's in the.
By the way, let me say something.
But we do use it. Yeah, I know. We
I
go
use-
to a lot of
no,
events.
You have.
I've gone to a few of them and
It's just, and
yeah.
they'll come here and they'll do
yeah,
it.
and we got some speakers for our
Amazing.
the first
From
time
there
and
too,
They came
yes.
to visit, so it's been an amicable relationship. So I think that's something we can maintain.
Yeah.
And then the networking businesses and all that kind of stuff, the seminars, that's the boot camp, the networkers. We know how that works. So I think for that we're good. And there's a reason those haven't been touched. All right, cool. So we're good on the budget. Just want to do that every time so we stay on track. All right, cool. So we'll move on to old business. So the EDC next year brainstorm. This is something that Carlos brought up in the last meeting. Kind of having a moment. What's up?
Then you're gonna do 0 first, no?
Oh,
No, yeah, it's A. Like it's A and then 0 instead of I. You get me? That's all I was
Oh,
trying to do.
okay.
It's like a pre-I. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
But so guys, this is part of the next year brainstorm. So Carlos wanted to do something where we think a little bit about what we're gonna do next year, how we're gonna approach it. And to start that off, I wanted Felicia to give us her little update on Main Street Live, how that's going, and maybe how we can jump in and participate in, part of our next year adventures.
Felicia. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to give an update. I've been contacting a lot of performers. I have been requesting them to register in our artist and musician registry. It's getting thick. Before we had nobody. So instead of, you can look through it, but it's very hard to understand sometimes. They're reading a lot of stuff. What I did is I created this database. So basically the yellow is the people that have submitted. Some of them have submitted invoices already, and I've been copying you and Andrea on it. And they're very eager to start. There's one man that
Cool.
told me, when we're starting, I mean, I need to start my schedule so I know, when. So the idea here is to find out from your group, and I have some questions here. We need to know who's gonna be doing the funding, who's gonna be picking the bands or the performers, because I remember I came one day very quick and show you a little video, a 30-second video that I did. And if you haven't seen it, I can show it to you, or forward it to Al, and she can put it on the screen. Because I need to know, who, maybe if the chamber's gonna be here, I need to add their logo, and then there's 2 logos here that they're not very good. The resolution is very, it looks good here, but if we blow it up, it may not be really
Yeah.
good. So also the idea of, when are we gonna do this? I know I recommended doing it from January to June when the weather's nice. The time, I need to know if it's gonna be every Friday night, once a month. We used to do it once a month when the Culture First did it. So all that information I need to finalize all this. And we're having our Festival of Lights, and I wanna put, some information about, basically, when is it gonna be? My other question is, okay, they review the poster, we have to do that. The schedule of the dates, I need to know that. Have we been picking performers yet? Have been reviewing the groups. This, I can leave this with you, but I'm using it. It has the webs, like websites, so you can
Yeah.
check on YouTube. The ones in dark, I mean, it's more like orange. Those are very good groups. We have used them before and I've seen the video and they're very good. So it's just, and then we can use DJs and there's one group that, I think he registered and he sent me the videos and he said, we can start like have it, not a theme, but not have like jazz next, too close to it, so have it, the variety, which is what I say here, is music, dance, art, and more. We can have all kinds of things. People are eager to, I talk to some people, they go either to Wynwood or Doral to do activities, so I said, they can stay here. This is such a beautiful town, we need to take advantage of it. So basically is to get ourselves organized, or, the schedule.
Yeah.
Because then the performers themselves need to know when they're gonna be performing and see they're available. We have a concert coming up, January 11th, we have to schedule it from before, and if we start in January, let's say that's not Friday will be the 10th. We don't wanna have two events right next to each other because, people get tired of having, too much. But all those things, we have to, what's the budget that that's gonna be spent? Coordinate, the cost, how much can we, of course, the list here of all the performers, how much they're gonna be charging, how many performances are we gonna have, all that, we need to get all that organized, so if we're gonna start in January, we need to start.
Is it possible to do like a subcommittee that's a conjunction between?
Yeah, you
Cultural
guys
affairs
can
and
call,
EDC?
you guys can call subcommittee, you just have to make sure you vote on it if you want.
Yeah, because I met, with the merchants. But they didn't talk about this at all, they talked about the Halloween event.
That's fine, that's fine.
So, I thought we were gonna talk about this, but we didn't, unfortunately. So if we're gonna get the merchants involved, I know they're part of this committee too, right? So it's a matter of
Well-
everybody together.
Not really, yeah, we have Carlos, who's from the main street, yeah.
Carlos from Michelle.
Carlos,
Bruselas,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cause they invited me. I
Carlos Padilla.
invited me to come.
Carlos Padilla.
Yeah, the Main Street Merchants thing is a little bit of a different thing than, but Carlos is somebody that's part of that.
Maybe I should,
Someone coming later.
because I know he has his own entertainment.
Yeah.
But we
He
need to
does.
bring the entertainment into Main Street.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
Yeah, and that's why I wanna figure out the situation with our budget with the
So-
expenses, so we can see how much we can
yeah, who's gonna be?
fund on our end, if we can get sponsors, how much we need from the sponsors. All right, cool.
Chamber's gonna be involved, all that I need to know, so we can.
Yeah, I think the chamber will definitely be involved.
Yeah.
I think for sure, like the Miami Lakes Chamber.
That will definitely decide what kind of entertainment we have. Some of them are not too expensive, some of them are more expensive. So, and the quality, of course, you pay for the quality of the
Yeah.
entertainment.
No, exactly.
So,
exactly.
but we need to make those decisions quick.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, yeah. And a big part of that is when and how often. Those are
Yeah.
the big questions, because then that'll tie into the funding and how much we
Mhm.
need and how that's gonna
Yeah,
work.
because I think we agree should be, when the weather is nice.
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%.
But the time, do you think the time is good from 7:30 to, because I'm in town in 3 hours
I think so, yeah,
with a break, of course.
yeah. You're thinking 7:30 in the evening, right?
7:30
Towards,
in the evening.
yeah, I think that works. Yeah,
So the time is okay.
yeah.
The.
I think we just need to talk about cadence and and yeah, I think the when works, the timing works, and just how often.
Part of it, so this, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me just pass this around. I put that together real quick, but I need to know. And that actually is part of the little video that I did, but I froze the image.
Cool. Yeah, I remember you showing us that. Alrighty, awesome. All right, cool. I think we can definitely do this. January, I think is gonna be a little bit difficult, just because I know December, we usually don't have a meeting, just because there's usually not enough quorum. We usually don't have enough, so we end up just not doing it.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
Do we
so
have
January might be tough.
I mean, we have someone that's really great. like I said, normally in our cultural affairs committee, we approve the performers. I guess it's the economic development, it's gonna be the one. Approving the performers, or the merchants are gonna be involved, the grams are gonna be involved,
That's why I don't really
that's
know
the question.
when it comes to that, yeah. Yeah, we don't really know when it comes to performers. That's why, like, you guys are the cultural affairs committee. If you wanted to take
No, I can-
charge
I
of
can
picking the
say-
performers,
I
it's up to you guys can do that.
Performers and tell
You can
them,
suggest
"Would you be
the
available?"
What's
So
up?
that's why I need to
This is
schedule.
gonna be done on Main Street, on private properties, yeah, you need the grounds approval.
Well, yeah, but separate from that, I guess, is what we're saying, like like how we're gonna be able to assist. But yeah. I mean, I think we have grants approval, right? You've been talking
No,
about
yeah,
Andrea,
I
so
think
yeah, I
probably
think we're good
need
there.
to approve the,
So I guess I need.
the artists coming in there.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what you've experienced in the past? Do the grams usually need to have final approval on the artists themselves too, or?
No, not really. When we used to do our events on Main Street, we brought our bands.
And they're okay
But,
for the most
you
part?
know,
Okay.
you know, I'm good at picking the bands, because, you know, I've heard them before. There's one that we might use correspondence, but I can, they're very good.
Cool.
And it's a big band, huh? You guys know.
No, that's why I want to see, because we can work with sponsors, because we, like, for our boot camp event, we ended up having a lot more sponsorship than we expected, so. I think we have, you know, we have connections to the business
I
community
contacted
here.
people, the ones in yellow are the ones that have been submitting invoices and are really interested in participating. And there's two bands, that are local bands. This one, Jackson Bond, which is very good. They play pop music and jazz. And I think Linda Anders is a local performer singer. Piece of work is the same thing, is run by Jackson Bond. Let's see the other one. Brother of Brothers is actually, he lives here in Miami Lakes, so we have 2 or 3 bands that are local, so. And they're really interested in performing, so. I just need to know. Just tell Andrea or the merchant, this is what I recommend. I mean, that's what I'm recommending, you know, the ones in orange. Dark yellow. So we can get going on it. I mean, we could have something in January, maybe the end of January.
Yeah. No, I think we definitely could. I just don't know how much we'd be able to support you
Getting
here.
the invoice, getting the contract done.
Yeah.
Mhm. You can see at the last column is how much they charge.
Cool.
So, just so, because I
What's up?
want to make sure, what do you need the committee to move on? Like, what do you need from EDC right now or soon? Like, what do they need to approve or anything for you?
The poster is the grams, I mean,
Well, if the town logo is on it,
it
the file needs to be
Diga,
sent
dame la
to
palabra.
communication so that they can give final approval. I also, this is for you more than for EDC. No, I already scanned it, thank you.
no, I need to know if I need to add another logo, that's the thing, for the.
You can put the chamber logo there too.
Chamber logo.
This is more for you rather than EDC, just because I have you here. If the cultural affairs logo is gonna be on it, so if it's a cultural affairs, collaboration,
Yeah.
then cultural affairs needs to be made aware of the bands that are being selected. Because I don't think they've been told. You guys do meet in December though.
Okay, I was
So it's
waiting
fine.
for the bands.
Yeah.
I thought the idea was, we're not paying for it, so we don't need to. pay
But
for
if
it.
their logo is on it, then it's a representation of cultural affairs. If it's not, then it's not. I just want to
But
make sure they're
I
aware.
mean, it's just to be our event, so I think.
Exactly, so they should be made aware as a committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what do you need from EDC? Do you need money? Like, it sounds like you're,
No, it's
No?
just,
Okay.
their support and then help out, that's all.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking in case there's anything they need to, motion and approve.
No, I guess if it's gonna be done on Main Street, the grams, I guess we'll approve it or check it, because like I said, financial part of it, we're just, we're just. Like I said, I'm just doing this, helping with the logistics of putting.
Yeah, to get
this
it going.
together, so get it going, so.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, I'm gonna start including it as a separate line item on our agendas as well, just Main Street Live, so we can participate in these kind of discussions too, and see what we can do with the
And
business
market it,
community, like, yeah, exactly, market it and see what we can do with the business community in terms of sponsorships and to help with funding
Yeah, that would be.
and things like that, because I think we have, all of us here, general connections that we can use to, get people to want to sponsor this.
That's the-
So the goal right now would be the second Friday of every month is what you were thinking? Or every other Friday, is what you're saying.
No, it's up to, I guess
I think once a month, right? Yeah, that seems a lot more
Once a
reasonable.
month
Yeah.
is like, gonna have.
Yeah, that seems more
Like, you know,
reasonable.
Once a month is how we used to have it,
Yeah,
and if we can add more, the thing is, it becomes expensive if you have.
no,
it
yeah, I
Friday.
think once a month is perfect. I think that's perfect. January to June, once a month, so it's like around 6 times or so. I think that
So we
works.
can pick like the third Friday of the month or we have to make sure that it doesn't
Yeah, it
conflict
doesn't-
with other
yeah.
events. Like we
Cool.
have, like I said, the concert on the 11th, you don't wanna do something on the 10th because it's back to back, so,
Gotcha.
you know. And I
All right,
think
cool. Yeah,
this
so,
one, this band that we're doing is, what is it that they're gonna play? Is it just jazz? Cause they play a variety of music, so we don't wanna have a jazz band on Friday and then one on Saturday, so, you know, people say, oh, that's the same thing, people get confused, so.
yeah, have some
Yes.
spice. All right, cool. So what we can do from the EDC, like I said, the January one, you're probably not gonna get too much support from us, just because we're kind of,
Okay, no, we
Fading
can-
out now
I'll
for the
talk
end of
to
the
them
year.
and-
but when it comes to the ones for the rest of the year,
Yeah.
we definitely want to take an active
Yeah,
hold of
that's
those.
what I needed to know.
Yeah.
We're gonna do one in January, it's gonna be.
Yeah, the one for January right now, we're a little bit
So we can.
all
do
over
it,
the
but
place.
You're not gonna, you know, even though I'm gonna put your logo on there and everything. but-
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, the January one, we're gonna be we probably won't be able to help too much, just because you can already see we're already losing
We'll
everybody.
figure it out anyway.
Yeah, but once the new year starts, and I'm sure we'll probably be filled up again in here. Because this is definitely something that I want to get Carlos to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll go talk to him.
Yeah, so I think we can get him to help with this. And anyways, Main Street is like his baby, you know, like growing that and focusing on that. So I think we're gonna do that. But yeah, like I said, I definitely want to help with the funding, and I definitely want to help with getting sponsors for you guys and helping to market it. And we'll definitely market it from the chamber's perspective, because I do all that. So so I'll do that for you on the chamber's perspective as well. So social media and email blasts and all that from the chamber, 100%. You have that, their support. Cool. And like I said, for the remainder of the year, we'll also be there. It's just January for us is a little funky with how we are here. Towards the end of the year, everyone gets
Usually everywhere.
yeah.
So
All right,
you're-
cool.
You're saying once a month?
Yeah, I'm thinking once a month, January to June, like we were suggesting. It's just that January, we won't be able to support too much here this time around.
'Cause
But
what I
starting
think
after
is
that, we'll be able to.
create a schedule. And then
Yes.
figure out, you know, where to put it.
Yeah, and we'll help you in terms, like I said, finding maybe principal sponsors and things like that, like, oh, this one presented by, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, we can help with all that in
Yeah, we
terms
Como
of.
los bienes culturales
The
Yeah,
last
los
one-
bienes
the last
culturales,
one I
you know,
went with the guys, like a-
in Southwest.
all kinds of groups.
Oh, really?
From,
Very nice.
what is it called?
Ballerina.
Flamenco jazz. Then he has, flamenco jazz, some Mediterranean musicians, they look more Turkish, but they're amazing. And then the last one, I mean, I'll show you the video, it's wild. We'll do that at the end, in June.
Buddy, I gotta check it out.
It's like gliding, it would put Miami Lakes in the map.
Cool. No, I like it. That's why I just want to get this
It's
going and
very
then,
good.
yeah, and then maybe we can use some of our other connects we've built up throughout. Like, I know that the
Yeah.
farmer's market guy contacted us too about wanting to do some stuff with the town. So who knows? Maybe we
Yeah,
can bring in some food trucks and make it like an
Last year,
event.
like an art festival, but he didn't plan.
Yeah, but it
on
wasn't
time.
very well pushed.
It
I
wasn't
remember.
well.
Yeah.
I might work with him too.
No, that's why, because maybe we can tie in with this and just kind of bring it all together.
No,
And
the
it could be a,
person like, they're gonna be involved.
yeah, that's why. So it could be a fun little thing, you know. But for now, let's get it going, you know. Let's get that going for January, and then, like I said, we'll be able to jump in full force next year. Awesome. Cool. Thank you for that, Alicia.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Any questions, just email me or any recommendations, I mean.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna put this on as a line item on the agenda now, starting from January forward. That way we can really focus on this and hone in on this.
If
Um,
you can get me the logos, I'll.
yeah, I'll send you the chamber logo. Yeah,
The chamber, the Main Street,
which one is that? Main Street?
I need this logo.
Oh, the Main Street logo
This logo.
itself.
I think I have this one in good resolution. I need good resolution because if we do like a nice poster and put it in the kiosk,
Yeah, you want it to be nice and big.
Yeah.
I get you.
we can put two, one at each end.
I get you. All right, cool. Good stuff. I like it. I like it. That's gonna be a good event.
Thank you.
I can see this being good.
Yeah,
This is
I'm
gonna be
excited.
fun. Yeah. All right, cool. So that kind of ties into the next thing then, the calendar of events for next year. What's up?
I can give you a copy. You need to struggle.
It's okay, I already scanned it.
All right.
Thank you. But if you want to send it to me anyways, I appreciate it.
It's just that it's gonna be changing maybe, I don't know, but.
The thing is that anything that gets passed out, I have to save for project
Right.
records.
Public records.
Okay.
You know, it's very. I
Yeah, the
mean,
pricing isn't horrible.
I did-
Something we can
No,
work
it's
with.
very-
Yeah, it's nothing crazy.
Right, so
You can take the local intel and do that.
Literally, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's partially what could work. But all right, cool. All right, cool. So that ties into the next thing then for the brainstorm, which would be the calendar of events for the year, right? Coming up. I know we said we wanted to be a little bit more thoughtful with how we have our calendar set up. And Jonathan said at the time that it helps a lot with advertising for you guys, you know, be able to plan it out and what it is that we're gonna push. So I guess kind of fast forwarding a little bit, would be the next business networking social, right? I know we talked about doing Latin America December 3rd or 4th. I got in contact with him and we tried talking back and forth. We texted a little bit, but we couldn't really ever get into a moment where we could talk. So I don't think that's gonna be able to happen for December 3rd or 4th. So I think we just call it quits for the year and we just do something in January and then.
That's
we're
fair.
fine.
Been approaching the gauchos.
Yo, really?
Yes,
You have been?
I've been approaching.
Oh, cool. They're interested? That would be a good one.
Well,
I think we've done it there years ago.
Yes, yes,
That
but
would be a good
but I
one.
am throwing my stones in there.
Well, cool. We'll play with that one. I'll play with that idea. Maybe we can do it for January. If they're willing.
Oh, no, they're-
Like late January.
I told them, you just put some picadas and there, and then it's
Yeah.
a cash bar that people can buy their drinks, and that's it.
Yeah,
We didn't
that's
put
it.
That shopping's gonna be really good if you want to put like a stage out there, close a little bit of the parking lot.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've done Gabriel's in the past.
They got
we've
two
done-
parking lots.
It has
Just
some
like
live
the
music
back
and then
one
people can.
and the
do
front
stuff.
one.
Yeah.
They got two parking.
They make a mean espresso martini, let me tell you.
Yes, they do.
They
Yeah, that
have-
place is
they-
really
they have
nice.
a full COP for bar.
That place is
So-
really nice. All right, so with that in mind,
They should be a hidden place.
doing the networking socials, when do we want to do them? Let's just plan them out. So right now we usually do one a quarter, sometimes two a quarter. So for right now, let's plan out the one a quarter, I guess, just so we can have that set up and then we can
Mhm.
maybe kind of fill in any.
So
So
January.
right now, there's gonna be one January.
January.
We don't have to pick specific dates just yet. We can kind of do that as we get closer, but for now, let's just at least pick the months. So we'll have one in January. So let me see the 4 networking socials.
Probably one March or April.
So we'll have one in January. And remember, we've got 3,000 set up here for the networking socials. Each one costs us 500. That's how much we give the restaurants. So for the 4, that gives us 2,000, and then we had 1,000 that we had used on the boot camp networker. Remember, that was the extra 1,000 that we had there. So we've got January, and then Rudy, you were saying March.
March or April, yeah.
I'm trying to think like with the dates. So let's see, is April close to anything bad with schools? I don't have a kid right now, so I don't really know.
Which day are you using, the third,
April's not bad because March you
there's
have
like the
spring
third
break.
Thursday of the month, or what?
I have, do you have a copy of the calendar? Kyle? The one-
Sorry, what were we saying, Mario?
What day, what day usually are you planning?
We usually do them on Wednesdays. That's
Right.
usually when we do them.
Wednesdays.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the
Wednesday.
second Wednesday of the month is the chamber luncheon, so we
Right.
don't usually do that.
So we do like the
So
third
we usually do
Wednesday.
the third or fourth
Correct.
Wednesday of the
Of
month,
course.
typically, yeah. So let me put that there too, third,
Or fourth.
fourth.
Yeah, March is usually spring break
That is-
somewhere in there. There's
So
a
you
week
think
that's
April's
spring.
okay? Think
So I
April's
think
safe?
April. It's April.
If you want.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, wow, the public-
that's
April might
very
be Easter,
Wow,
but
big
it's
stuff,
usually the
Kyle.
beginning of Easter.
Killing
It
it.
doesn't show
It's usually the
Saturdays.
first week. Oh, there you
Huh?
go.
Yeah,
usually the
that's okay,
first
we
week
just
of-
we just
of
worry about Wednesdays anyways. So,
That's 2025. There you go.
April, yeah, April looks pretty.
March, you see the end of March.
Yeah, March is
spring break.
messy. Yeah, so
Spring
April's
break.
clean, so we'll do April.
April. There you go. Anytime, any.
And then 3 and 4, so.
Yeah, January as well in there.
Yeah, January, April, and that way, because March is a little close, so it gives us a little bit of time, so
Right.
January,
Then you have
April,
August.
and then, so now we need one for the 3rd and
August.
4th.
Oh, August.
August is the start of school again, isn't it, which is a little.
At the end, yeah, at the end. So you could do it
Yeah,
in September then. We usually do it in September. Although September is usually.
September sometimes the boot camp, but we were
the
talking
boot
about
camp,
changing
right.
the boot camp this year,
I don't
right,
know.
maybe potentially,
Okay.
so let's see. I don't know, August is back to school, you think the last week of August is too rough with back to school or no?
Then you're already back in school now.
You think that's still too rough? For the,
Because
Remember, you're looking at
Yeah,
this
that's
year.
that's.
Right.
oh, this is
Right.
this year.
Right, there you go,
Uh,
more. So what,
If you hit back,
You
I
have-
think the options for the next.
For the next year there?
Or do school calendars on there, the second,
it's in the
the
bottom.
second link.
Gotcha.
I think you might be able to select if it's ready,
yeah, it's in the
24,
bottom.
and I'm
25,
pretty
right?
sure it is. So you're looking for 25, 26.
I don't think it's up yet.
I have no idea.
I wouldn't think so either.
It's probably not yet.
No.
Sorry.
Sometimes it's up in advance.
Yeah, it should be.
There we go.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it.
No,
It's not.
Yeah,
Oh, well.
so that's all you.
Okay. So we can kind of go
It's
on.
only up to June.
Yeah. Alrighty, no problem.
Keep on going down, maybe it's in the.
No,
No.
no, it's
No,
not.
no,
I'll
okay.
imagine not.
Oh, look, but at the bottom there it says beginning.
Right.
No?
Oh,
It goes down to June.
Yeah.
no, yeah, no.
Whatever, no worries, no worries.
24.
It's up to
We'll
June.
get caught on that too long. Alright, cool. So August then, let's just say that's too messy, I guess.
Yeah, you still have 25, but it's. Yeah.
Well, it goes up until summer
It's only up
twenty-five.
to June.
Yeah. So I guess we can just do September still, that's fine. We can shoot for the early, I mean, remember, this is
August,
just
September.
pre-planned, so
Yeah,
if we
yeah,
just
yeah,
do
yeah.
adjust, we get
Yeah,
closer, we
Yeah,
can.
I think that's fair.
August, September.
So I'll do September.
Yeah.
And then the last one would be
Okay.
December, I guess, like what we
December.
tried doing this time.
Yeah.
Oh, but then it would be, well, I guess then we'll worry about the next year again. December. Okay, so we're looking at January, April, September, and December. For the, yeah, I think that works.
Socials. Or the
Yeah, for the
quarterly-
socials.
Quarterly socials.
Yep. So we're good there. The calendar events, the boot camp. Right now, the boot camp was in September, right? It was early September, like here, September.
Or
12th or something like that.
Mid-September, yeah.
Yeah, it was like mid-September. The boot camp, I don't want to get into this too much, honestly, without Romy and Carlos, because I know they're a big part of the boot camp. So I'll kind of table this until we're all together again and we're all here in a meeting, but the September date doesn't really bother me too much. I remember they talked about doing it more closer to like October, November, because they were saying that's a little bit better, but then that kind of messed with the
It's with the
Fiscal
money,
year,
you wouldn't be
yeah.
using it.
yeah, that's what made it a little
Year.
bit of a situation. So that might be something that we do for the next following year, but for this year, we'll talk about it. All right, cool. So I'll put the boot camp now to be discussed. So TBD. And then as well, calendar events now, we have Main Street Live that we're gonna probably help out with, and that we will help out with. And that's gonna be 6 months out of the year. January to June, the 4 networking socials, the boot camp. Am I forgetting any of our major events that we participated or do? I don't think so, right? That's mainly what it is. It's the quarterly, it's our quarterly socials, it's our boot camp,
Right.
and then now we're throwing in Main Street Live as well.
Right.
So I think we're good there. Cool. So another thing that Carlos wanted us to kind of talk about was what more can the EDC do? And I think honestly, this Main Street Live is a good is a good thing for us more to do. So I think that'll help out. I think this question as well is going to be answered a little bit better once we have the budget breakdown with what we have this year available to us in that miscellaneous marketing fund, basically like what local intel has available for us.
Yeah.
Cool. So awesome. I think this Main Street Live is going to be a good, another big addition to the EDC. I think that'll be a
That's
great,
gonna be a good.
Yeah. just to bring more life to Main Street, like we were talking about. And then depending on how that goes, we'll see what we can do.
Often, because people will remember.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And then, like I said, going forward, once we can see what we really,
Instead of once a month, do it twice a month.
yeah, I mean, for right now, I'm thinking once a month, just to get it going, you know, and just to get a feel for it, you know? And see if we get good at it and we're really quick at doing it, oh, let's bring it up. Yeah, exactly. But I just want to get a feel for it first.
Put conflict, let's say for the 4th of July or.
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
Right.
that's another reason once a month is a
Halloween
little
or
easier.
anything like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, I mean, it shouldn't mess with Halloween and things like that because it's January to June for now is what we're thinking.
No, that's right.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. Cool. So what more can the EDC do? I think we're gonna do that with the Main Street Live, and we'll talk about that more throughout the year. The boot camp planning, like I said, table that for now until we've got everybody. So with that, I'll move on to new business. We talked about public outreach. The next business networking social we talked about, we're just gonna shoot for January. Potentially, if Magali can, we can try for gauchos. That could be a good option. And then if anything, I can also try to reach out to the Latin America guy again.
Latin America.
Yeah, I can continue to reach out to him and see what we can do.
Awesome. So the next thing after that is the best of Miami Lakes. Okay. This is more of an aisle thing.
Jonathan, fill
Right.
me in.
Because I got a bunch of questions about this throughout the year,
Yeah.
and everybody thinks we're doing it. And honestly, it should be kind of something that we do,
Yeah.
because I know we did in the past.
So-
In the past, I
EDC.
think we.
Yes.
Yeah, but since I've been here, we haven't. So people are asking me, and I'm like,
know,
I don't know.
who was the previous chair? Was it Andrew?
It was Andrew, yeah.
I was the one before her and I did a video up here. So that was-
Andrew,
Yeah, I remember
Andy
when
Blanco.
Andrew said it was like my baby, and
And
then
Andy
he
Blanco.
did it. But when I became in charge, I just heard it was a town thing, and I didn't worry
Well,
about it.
we-
Jonathan was doing
Eddie
it.
Blanco.
It's always been acknowledged as an EDC thing, so it's not just like a town, it is an.
Yeah, we
economic
haven't even
development.
voted on it in the past
Right.
2 years, like anything.
So I want to be clear, because I think it happens with other committees as well, because it's an event that, like, something that goes on.
Yeah,
We kind of continue as is. If you look at it, it hasn't changed since, I guess, you guys were working on it,
exception.
but it's like the town staff can't wait until you guys.
No, yeah,
You
I'm
know,
not
so-
saying I'm
no,
not
no,
gonna
no.
matter.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know that that's why it seems like if we took over, but we didn't. It's still acknowledged as
Gotcha,
economic
gotcha.
development. It's just, I don't think you guys discussed the feedback, if there was any changes you wanted to make this year or whatever. So Jonathan just kind of took the initiative to run with it and
Yeah, just kept
continue
going.
as is.
Yeah, it was, I think it was really accountable by the top almost.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, the mechanics of it.
But I
Yeah.
want to make sure you guys understand that it is an economic development initiative and it's very much acknowledged as.
Okay,
If there's any changes or any edits or any ideas you guys have to
so it's up to
don't want
us,
to
that's-
change, just please bring it to me. I guess this is where I'm telling you with time. If you can give us those changes by July, August, because by end of August, it needs to be launched in order to fall in line with the holidays and get the finalists in. So that's my ask, I guess, as staff from you guys.
Gotcha.
If there's any edits, any changes, anything you want to see as part of the next year's program, just please let me know by, I would say let's.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm putting
Calendar
on the
by
agenda and
July.
stuff, Yeah,
So like that week, we incorporate those into the new one.
perfect, perfect.
But as of right now, yeah, it kind of just went in as
Yeah,
it's
that's-
been the
that's fine.
last
That's
few
fine.
years.
So thank you then for doing
Yeah,
that. I
yeah.
appreciate that. But cool. Yeah, so that way we can just, take
Yeah.
a little bit more of an active role in terms of, I know that a big thing was just marketing it. That's what a lot of
Right.
people were asking us about, because they're like, oh, we didn't hear about this. I wanted to be on this, or I wanted to try for this. And I was like, I have no
I know
idea.
Jonathan
I was like, my hands
mentioned-
are up. It's on
In
me.
terms of marketing, our communication strategy stays the same, whether it's an event or whatever. I would encourage you guys to take a look. I think you guys have probably heard of it. It's on our website. So depending on what type of event or initiative it is, that's kind of how it's gonna get marketed.
No, I'm not saying the marketing.
No, no, no.
But I'm just saying, we just didn't know, because I could also, push it from the chamber, make it like
Okay.
much more of
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
get
If
the
you
BNI
guys-
involved, like how we do it.
Well, yes, we
Everybody's wanted-
appreciate any
you know?
extra, any community from the town
Yeah.
helping us out. Obviously, that helps us. But in terms of how we market it, it's just as any other initiative, really.
No, that's fine, that's fine. But yeah, I'm just saying, so for the locals, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
people that we see all the time in the chamber meetings, that we see
Yeah.
all the time on the daily, they just didn't know about it. That's why, for the most part.
And then
I
when
don't
you
know
need small businesses there,
Yeah,
that maybe say, hey, why wasn't I counted, or what do I need to do?
yeah, they just
How do
want
I
to,
get involved?
yeah, most of
I
them, they
would-
just want their name.
I would ask
there,
you
they
guys,
can be seen.
because obviously you guys are the economic development, so you have a lot of networking power. I would ask you guys that if anybody is ever like, oh, I want to know more about the town or anything, I would highly suggest that people subscribe to our newsletter.
Okay,
Because really that would go
You do it
straight
on
to
the
your
website, right?
inbox. Yeah, they
Okay.
can sign up from our.
But I
website.
noticed that many of the same company, Biki's always there. so,
Yeah.
Uh,
I will say there's a lot of
They're
people,
always there,
the
you know.
businesses that caught on to it, like did a good job of promoting themselves and that's
Ah,
kind of happened.
of
So
course,
that also
course.
leads to a question to you guys. If you guys want to maybe change what the nomination looks like,
Yes, sir.
there's an opportunity to do that if that's something the EDC wishes to.
cool, cool.
So that's something for you guys to discuss.
Sorry.
Or you extend the candidates.
Yeah, I mean, it's
For example,
it's still for us
bakeries,
to mess around with it in the
bakeries,
future. I just wanted to know if
Yeah.
you could. That's
Yeah.
it.
The BBs and Via France and so forth.
Cool, cool. I just wanted to know if we could. Now I know we can, and then by July. What's up, Felicia?
Years ago, was that association.
Oh, you want
that
happy Thanksgiving?
existed.
Yeah,
Happy
The
Thanksgiving.
civic association had a membership and you had the businesses where they became members. And then if you became a member, it was, I wasn't part of it, but what helped is people will get discounts when they went, do you remember that?
Right, that was part of the Miami Lakes Business Association. That's when I started
So,
doing the
I
lunch,
think
and then it
every
became Miami.
what was it? That was something else?
Way.
Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce,
Oh.
but incorporated.
That was the
Yeah.
the original.
The
The
original.
original.
Uh-huh.
It was like the civic association, you
Yeah.
could become a member, you could be an individual member, or you could be a business. And by being a business, you could give discounts to the people. I mean, if you buy from us, you get a 20% discount. I mean, you have to, like I said, plan it properly.
Yeah.
To make people want to buy from you because they get a percentage discount. So it created an incentive to the business and at the same to the people who, who wanted to.
Yeah, no, I love that idea, like,
So it promotes the business, but at the same time, they were
Yeah, it
helping each
gets-
other.
yeah.
Like,
no, I like that.
how it works, but I have to find out exactly because I wasn't part of
Yeah.
it.
We have the Miami
Santa
Lakes Chamber of
Club.
Commerce, this, the
Santa
Santa Club
Club
of
discount, yeah.
Miami Lakes, restaurant discount.
Yeah.
See,
Good.
something like this.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to try to do similar to that was we have, like I mentioned earlier, we have an EDC website, MiamiLakesBiz.net or something like that we don't really use too much for anything. And on it right now, it has some discounts that people provided, that if you show, hey, like we're part of the EDC, yeah, that's why. And if you show them, but I guarantee you, none of those restaurants will honor those discounts because I think they're years old now. So I wouldn't try to, hey, look at this. But
Do you
that's something I
remember-
want to do. I want to like bring that back.
Do you remember when we had the passport?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
That
I
was
part
great.
of- I was
That
part
was
of
very
the
good.
passport.
that was very
Yeah.
good.
That's why I want to start doing stuff like that again. But
Yeah, we need those.
baby steps. That's why. Let's not go crazy. So we're doing Bay Street Live. We're gonna take back Best of Miami Lakes, and then we'll start branching out. But baby steps, baby steps. So yeah, next up is Bay Street Live, Best of Miami Lakes. I want to
Mention it to.
Here's a random idea.
What's up?
What if we made like, kind of like an electronic points card for Miami Lakes, you can add to your Apple Wallet. And like, for Miami Lakes retailers, it's much like how like you have like punch cards or things like that to let you get promos, like if you keep spending
Like
your
your
Miami
Zonta
Lakes.
card, pero digital.
Yeah.
Like your Zonta card, pero digital.
Annie, you can figure that out, Annie.
I mean, that's
I don't know
that's
if
Like your
software
Zonta,
for
like
that,
your
or-
Zonta card.
I don't know how that
Pero
works.
digital.
Neither do I, but it'd be pretty cool though. Imagine
Yes,
having like.
yes,
on
your
Apple
Zonta
Pay.
card, digital.
But I'm worried about it being
Find the
attached to
source of
Apple Pay
vendor.
though too at the same time.
Well, it's not attached to Apple Pay as much as it is just
It's
it
just
goes
where you
into your
save
Apple
it.
Wallet, kind of like when you get like a.
It's like the open
plane
door.
ticket, you
It's like the
can
open
put it in
door.
your Apple Wallet.
Like the open door and all
Yeah.
that.
I get it.
But for Miami
But there
Lakes,
probably
but
has to
for
be an
Miami
app or
Lakes.
something like that.
Right, but for Miami Lakes.
Or software that can do it.
Yeah,
It's digital.
yes, the answer is yes. You could.
That's essentially
Well,
what
that's
it's called.
different.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Pero sí se puede hacer, Magali, the answer is yes. The free internet
Yeah, something like that.
Like
Yeah.
imagine again, if it's like in your.
If
Apple
it's in
Wallet.
there. in your app. You open it up, the
That's
Miami
cool.
Lakes, the Miami
The only
Lakes.
thing is when it comes to software, it's finding the right one.
Right, well,
Sorry,
Well, we can use
that's
the
another
footage
issue.
from local
Because
IQ.
we said.
No, I know, that's what I'm saying. That's why. If you-
Claro,
If you can
claro.
do some research, Danny, I'd appreciate it. It turns out, fantastic idea. Let me know more.
Basically, same thing, it makes it easy.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'll write it down here too, digital passport.
Digital passport, freaking buy or whatever you wanna call it, you have to come up with a name.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Or you can have.
Or Miami Lakes, you know, what kind of Miami Lakes restaurants?
Pick the name for the whatever.
No, I like it. Digital passport sounds fun. Yeah, and it gives you a reason to go to the restaurants and stuff like
There
that.
you go. There you go.
Just in general, not
Good
just
idea.
restaurants.
Like,
Focus
so
too.
well,
Focus too much on
you could
restaurants.
Also like try, like, oh, you went to this restaurant,
Well,
this can see you
Like open door does, like open door does.
Yeah, that's
That's
why we
right.
just have to find the right software. I'm sure there's an app or something you can use that's like like for towns and
Sure.
everything. I'm
Yeah.
sure something like that already exists. I'm sure.
Dash has it, open door has it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because that's how I
something
get
like that.
restaurants.
And
you
then
know,
you
like
just
that.
get it for like, for a specific town, you get to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing is getting the restaurants to serve, not restaurants, keep saying restaurants, stores, people in general
That's
to
key.
just sign up.
To
Yeah.
sign up. Yeah.
So we can see. But cool, that seems like a
Have
cool
the
idea.
garage sale because we cannot use the parking lot on Main Street anymore since the vendors are.
But all right, cool. So
Yes, you
best
know,
of Miami
the-
Lakes.
The
What's up?
Santa, used to have that garage.
None of you for
sale
announcements, if you
That
want.
people do. We
The what?
pay
It's on the
the
video.
spaces for $35.
What'd you say?
The video.
That's
What
what
video?
done with this
The
card.
guy in his video, if they're using it or not, finally, the airport, and I don't know.
Oh, I mean, I didn't find any more information about the airport or anything like that. But I know we talked about with Jonathan before, using
Right.
that video as like a sort of
Yes.
perpetual ad
Yes, we need that. We need that.
online. If that's something that's doable.
Yes.
I don't know if we told you about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that you
we
can
should,
do.
we just talked about that. We just did. So that's like a.
Okay, okay.
But I'll.
Make use of it, guys. Make use of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Make use of it.
Yeah, 'cause we made a video last
Yes.
year,
Yes.
about Miami Lakes and come in the shop here,
I'll
play
look
here
in
and
our
live here and
YouTube,
stuff like
but
that.
that's usually where we save the video.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what we
unlisted
started
in there, I'm
doing.
pretty sure.
Okay.
But what's up?
No, we didn't, when we had the expo last, 2 weeks ago, we didn't go like to the booth, like we do every year and talk to people. We can do that. We miss that.
What do you mean go to the booth every year? Or like for the videos and stuff? We got some videos. Gani, I'm not sure if he edited it yet, but he was making a video for us. And he
Yeah,
went to
Gani
some,
was,
like,
Gani
he
was
interviewed-
here.
Yeah, he interviewed Jose Llano with the BNI
Yeah.
table.
Okay.
I think he interviewed Seacoast.
Vela Laser.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
interviewed those girls. He was going around
He was
interviewing
going
like
around.
sporadically.
Okay.
It wasn't like everybody, but he did it sporadic.
And
We did get some of that.
Hemisphere.
Hemisphere he did it.
Hemisphere.
I think he did Seacoast, I think. I'm not sure. But
And
I know
I
he
think
went
he
to
did Seacoast.
different booths. So we have some of that.
Yes.
So you mean, I'm not sure if he's done yet, but you should see it soon. I'm sure it's gonna be me. I'm sure I'll post it soon. All right, cool. So I think we're good on that. We've got a lot of stuff to now talk about in our next meeting, which is gonna be exciting. There's all that cool stuff. Best of Miami Lakes,
Yeah.
Main Street Live, the boot camp. We've already got our networking socials already planned out, which is a good thing. So I think we're in a good spot.
So we're gonna do the meeting next month or?
That's the big question. We can't really vote on it because of this,
Yeah.
but because there's not enough people. But I think we're gonna find out with
Regarding quorum.
quorum now, right?
The question, did you guys discuss this at a previous meeting maybe already?
It wasn't something voted on, but it's something
We
that we
didn't
discussed.
have it in December.
Yeah, that it normally doesn't happen.
It normally doesn't happen.
Ever get quorum. At least the 2 years I've been here.
Yeah, I
It hasn't
What
happened.
I'll do is I'll check anyways with the members and.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
It
that's why
usually
we
doesn't
can vote on it. If anything, send it a little earlier this time. You know,
That
the
was you
double
that called,
checking.
right?
Yeah, it usually
Yeah.
doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people can't do it in December.
Yeah.
here.
Right, it
So
usually.
we always
doesn't
end up
happen.
with like 4 or 5. It's like, it would
Plus-
be me and 2 other people.
It's late, I think, this year.
It would
It would
be
The
fall-
17th,
it would fall on
the
December
17th.
17th, yeah.
San Lázaro,
Yeah.
forget about it.
Yeah.
Mentira, mentira.
Yeah, that's why. It would be the week before Christmas. Eve.
I mean, I guess, like,
That would be, believe me, that what everybody does.
I mean, I guess, I guess if we call them.
Everybody.
Yeah, you'll get an email from me if I cancel them. The meeting is canceled, sorry.
All right.
So I'm just letting you know in December, likely canceled. Very likely it's gonna happen.
I'm,
What email did you have from me?
Magali,
Rubio, that
Yeah.
one.
but I updated it now, so
Okay,
you should be
great.
fine.
Alrighty, and then other than that, November 23rd is the Festival of Lights.
yeah, that's this Saturday, this Saturday.
Couple days.
I'll be there.
Yep, that'll be fun.
Prices.
I'll be
Cool.
there.
I'll probably swing by.
I'll be there.
I have time to fix it.
Cool. Yeah, but other than that, we're good to go. I don't think I can motion to end the meeting.
Well, I guess we-